Hello, hello. Not sure if I should stop the music. Why is this? What the heck? Why is it seeing it in blue? What the heck? Because of the tab. Excuse me. I'm gonna get some water. Be right back. Hey, woot! What's up, my man? What's up? I just started minutes ago. How are you doing? Good. I have a co-worker just joined. What do you want? Food? Yeah? Want food? Now? What do you want? He's waiting for something. As soon as I start working. I probably need to go and give him some food. Let me scrub him a bit. That's my life. Servant. Where have you been? Busy at the office? There we go. There you go. Right, I'm gonna give him some food. I'll be right back. Right back as usual. Alright, the cat is getting stuffed. Damn it. How is the phone? I can't do shit. God damn it. What now? Now the cat is meowing. He wants to go out. Don't you have a cat flap? Off you go. Off Fedrazin. Jesus. All right, so where was I? Yes, he does. Yes, he does. That's what he does. And then yesterday, actually, I don't think you were here on the shot. I had the office door locked, right? And then I could hear him meowing outside the door. And then I opened the door, right? And the only thing he did was stroll across the office to the window and then ask me to open the window to go out. So why can't he go out? Just cat flap. No, he had to come to the office to go out. Didn't even stop to say hi. Cats. It was funny to watch. Meow, and then just strolls across the office and sits at the window waiting for me to open. It's passing through. Wah. Oh, yeah. So yesterday, again, I don't think you were here. So mesh loading is kind of fine. I mean, the loading is not the problem. Well, it is anyway. The biggest problem I have now is the entire way the asset library works, and that's what I need to refactor. So I'll show you. Again, I don't think you were here yesterday. So for example, we have, this is not the engine, obviously. This, I'm just visualizing online this model, right? And this is all in one file, but GLTF, when you open a GLTF, it actually can have several meshes, several materials, so it's not just one thing, right? And that's a bit of a problem for the way I organize my library. Let's call it the library manager, whatever you want to call it. So let's say, I'll show you what I mean. Let's see if I can explain. No, Relive, you can do PBR with Relive, it's fine. They actually have a PBR sample if that's what you mean. It works just fine. But I think the PBR sample might have a few bugs. I reported one of them. Yeah, they have a PBR sample. So the problem I'm having with the loading meshes is, let's see. Yes, no, it's a kid. What do you need?
The white thing to put it to actually connect the charger.
Yep. Wait a bit. Right, I'm back. Let's see for how long. Let's see how long can I stay. I can show you the PBR sample. I might have it ready to run. Probably this one. And I might have hacked it away. Come on. Sheesh, Visual Studio is getting slower and slower. Seriously. So Relive is just a C project, and Visual Studio is freezing. Fuck's sake. Samples, shaders, basic PBR. I have no patience for any of this crap today. The state of software. Now it's gonna freeze. Alright, it's this, but it's looking like shit because I hacked it away. I have a bunch of changes. Let's see if I can spot them. I was just experimenting with some stuff when I was doing my own. All right. I'll just revert the changes. But no. Yeah, what is it? This. Discard. There you go. See. No, they're not. Well, obviously, they're not baked. This is the sample, right? So obviously, the sample has light at a specific spot, but the lights are uniforms you pass to the shader, right? The light, regarding the shader, the lights are not fixed, right? They are fixed in the C code. They are fixed at the fixed position, but you can just move the position. Or rather, you have to apply. Not sure if I know what. Not sure I know what you mean there. So, on my side, let's say we have this. All right, so I can load the geometry just fine. But then I have the problem of what do I do with the fact that one file gives you a bunch of different things like materials, different meshes. My library manager code is not prepared for that. So yeah, it's just the way I kind of architected the whole thing. Man, I back then, like, I didn't cross my mind about this problem. So it's like I have the concept of asset definition, right? And then it's a one-to-one. So I have a definition, and then the asset definition is just the settings to create the asset. It's not the asset itself. And then from that, you can go, okay, give me the asset. So it creates the asset on demand. This is a problem because, like, for example, if you go here, we have like textures, right? When I click this, you see here static texture definition. So this is a definition. Then when I click it, it will create an asset so I can preview it. But this means that it's like a one-to-one thing, right? And for 3D models, that's a problem because when you import something, it's not a one-to-one. Let me see what you're typing. Yes, obviously, but that's not a really problem. It's a problem in having engine. So again, I'm a noob with these things, right? But your engine needs to have a way to create all these shaded variants, because obviously when you render a mesh, basically you're rendering a mesh and you go, right, this mesh is going to render with this material, right? And the material is the combination of what shader, what textures, right? So that's what I have here. So let's say when you go and do right, so we have this here. So this is literally this is a mesh. I mean, it's not a a mesh asset. It's a preview mesh for me to. I'm viewing the material here, right? So, and the way I'm viewing it is basically I'm telling the render, right? Render this sphere, which is a mesh. Render this sphere. Render this mesh with this material, which is a material we are previewing. And you can't get away from that, as far as I know, right? It's like one mesh, one material, one-to-one. So whenever you have a scene that you have, okay, I want to render this barrel with this shader, this other thing with this shader. That's the way you need to do it. It's like, okay, you need to do one draw call with this shader, one draw call to do with this shader. There's no way around it, as far as I know. The way you but then you have the problem like, oh, but every shader like needs to do this, which is common, and then every shader needs to do this. You need to organize your shaders like if it's normal code, right? With the shared functions and include the headers, and so you can build shaders with lots of variations. See, I wasn't reading your chat, but that's what I mean. So when you say, oh, now you need to implement your lighting path into every shader, yes, you do. There's a way around it, but you need to kind of think about your shaders just as it's code, right? It's like, imagine, like, okay, I want to render this mesh with I have one default shader, right? And then, okay, I want to render this mesh with shader A, and I want to render this mesh with shader B. And the problem you're having, the problem you're trying to describe is, but there's a bunch of stuff then as I have more and more shaders, how do I deal with the fact that every shader needs to have common functionality that my engine needs? Like, oh, I want to do lighting this way, right? There is, as far as I know, that there's no way around it. You need to have some system in the engine that puts the shaders together with a shared functionality, right? As far as I'm aware, that's what engines do. That's why, you know, for example, when you launch an Unreal game, and then the first time you launch is like compiling shaders, and it takes like a few minutes. That's what Unreal is doing. Is basically when you're using Unreal as an artist, right, and you're just doing all your materials and fancy shaders and whatever, you're creating shader variations, and then when you launch the game, Unreal needs to compile them all. What?
I'm hungry.
Again?
Yes.
Give me a few minutes.
Yeah, you usually get the medicine.
I think Clara is getting it because I don't have the car. Yes. Again, I'm a noob with these things, right? But light, shadows and stuff. I mean, we're talking about lights, yes. So, man, I don't know how to explain this any other way. Think of, I guess the best way to think of it is like, the shader is a self-contained thing, right? It's a program. They call it in OpenGL. It's even called a program, right? Imagine imagine the shader. One shader is one executable, right? And now in your engine, you're gonna have your conventions, right? Again, take this with a grain of salt because I'm just learning on learning on the job. But that's what I understand. So your engine, you're gonna decide what conventions you want with lighting. Oh, I want to support these many lights. Every material should support like albedo texture. So your conventions, right? How rendering works. Now, what you're gonna do is you're gonna basically, if you think of the shaders as a single program, right? You're gonna have, okay, I'm gonna have one shader that does this effect, right? One shader that does this effect, right? But they all need to implement that common functionality your engine needs, right? So the way you do this is you can, if you think of the shader as a program, you're gonna have like libraries to basically help you put together the functionality. See what I mean? So, and then you reuse those libraries, and then it's up to your engine to put these things together for every shader. So let's say I'm going to show you what I have for mine. I don't have much stuff yet, right? So I don't have the need yet to have different variations, but I will have at some point. So if you go here, yeah, so obviously I will have to, so this is my PBR shader, and I will have to extract a bunch of this stuff to have the said common functionality, right, in a reusable place. So at the moment I have everything here, but you can see that I have a header here, right? And you can basically have headers, include like common functions you need. Does it make sense? So, for example, I can show you an example in practice, not with my engine, but with Flux. It's I don't think there's a silver bullet for this. Your engine needs to put together a shader for every, let's say, every material you're creating in your editor, right? Your engine needs to put together a shader for that, right? That does the required things your engine requires. Sorry about the redundant words. So if we go, let's say, let's look at this guy here. I think this is a material. So if we do this, so Unreal has something like this, right? This is not Unreal, it's Flux, but Unreal has something like this, right? This translates to shader code, right? So you can actually go here and see show generated source code. See, the engine is doing all this crap, and you can see that it's putting a bunch of stuff that the engine probably requires, like you need to implement the features for the engine to work, right? Every shader needs to have that. It's just the conventions, right? Whatever conventions you have in your engine, all your shaders need to work with that. It's up to you to put the shader, you need to come up with a way to build all the shader variants, basically, that you need. So you see all this stuff? Okay, this. And then you can see here, like, is it using a light map? Right. Yeah, I know. My engine is somewhat prepared for that. I'm not making use of it yet. But we'll see in practice when I start using it, what else I need to change. So at the moment, again, this is all, we'll see in practice how it works, but my convention is basically, if I go to, I need to improve how that works, but let's say if I go to GPU material, so if I have a surface material, right, which is for PBR. Well, PBR is what my engine uses, right? But surface materials like 3D, let's call it 3D material, expects these things to be passed to the shader. See, these are kind of the engine requirements, right? So every surface material needs to have these. Some of them I can mark them as optional, so if they don't exist, it's not an error. So I can mark them as optional. But this is kind of my convention, right? The name of the thing, the type. Yeah, so Yeah, but I don't know any. I think that's the way you do it, right? That's what I've seen everywhere. But again, I'm not an expert in these things. But you need to think of the shader as an executable, and then somehow you need to bring all the code in there. And because you can't have shared libraries, right? You basically need to use a bunch of includes, or your engine puts together all that source code like you've seen in Flax. That does all your engine needs. And that's why Unreal takes like minutes to build the shaders when you launch a game. because the man, it's also the artist's fault, because most like indie games, like why I need to spend a minute building shaders? Indie games are just launch straight away. Yeah, because an indie game, it was done probably by one or two people, and they have the whole picture. They can have less shaders to do more, right? And when you're talking about Unreal, the guy doing all the art, he has no technical knowledge of, for the most part, there's no technical knowledge of what's going on behind. So he's working on some special effect, and he's just fiddling with Unreal, and he's just creating a bunch of more shaders without realizing the impact. So that's why when you launch an Unreal game, you have thousands, possibly thousands of shaders. Because the artist, to get this job done, just goes and creates more shaders. Yeah, deferred rendering. I was thinking about using that. That was kind of that was the hype, like about 10 years ago. But it does present some problems. So nowadays, again, I'm not an expert in these things. But yeah, so deferred rendering basically, instead of doing the I'm not even reading your chat. I'm just trying to think. So basically, it explodes in computation, right? Because you need to, for every fragment, if you have 4 lights, right? For every fragment, you need to apply those 4 lights, right? Which explodes as soon as you. Oh, but I want more lights. Then yeah, it's not feasible. You can't scale it basically. And with deferred rendering, it's a different approach. Yeah, it's a different pass, and basically you end up not needing to apply the light to every fragment. Well, you don't need to apply all the lights to every fragment. So, but deferred rendering has a few problems. I think the main problem is especially translucent or transparent materials. I think it has a few problems, so it's not all roses. So I think the common approach nowadays, I think it's like an hybrid between the forward and deferred rendering. I forgot the name. Well, it might be. There's a name for it. I don't remember the name. There is a name, but it's kind of an hybrid. To try and solve the problems that deferred rendering has. I forgot the name. Oh, you actually mentioned hybrid. I didn't even see your message. Yeah, see, I wasn't even reading a message, and we kind of got to the same thing. Forward plus, yeah. I need to work, my man. Let me ask. I'll be right back. I need to ask something to. We have a friend staying over. Need to ask her something. I'm back. Was giving my kid some medicine. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What's that? I'm not gonna be running anything now, man. Like I would have to. What's this? Can I just if I need to create a project for this, I'm not gonna try it now. What's this? Is it a shader? What is it? No, it's a Raylib thing. What's that? Yeah, I think you actually have a deferred sample in Raylib. Look, there's one here. See? There's a deferred rendering sample. Look, you want more lights? Plenty of lights. Position, normal, beta. Yeah, they already have a deferred rendering. I knew about it. A deferred rendering sample. But obviously, it doesn't put together the problem we were talking about. Oh, but now I need to have this mesh with this shader, this mesh with this shader. Oh, it doesn't solve that problem for you, right? Because Raylib doesn't have any. What's the word? Doesn't have any tools for you to put the shaders together. You need to build variations on your own. So there are things you can do without shader variations, right? Which is, by variations I mean like I want a shader that does some special effect, right? You need different code in the shader, right? You can't get away from that. You need different code in the shader. Obviously, you can have conditionals. So you can have, for example, imagine, let's say, let's look at my. God damn it! So you can have something like you have a bunch of functions to do stuff, and you're not using them, right? You use them in a conditional, like. Right? You pass some, something, right? You can do this, like you can have a conditional and then you apply something if this is true. And this is a uniform you pass to the shader, right? You can, in a way, tweak behavior based on conditionals. But the problem is if you have too many conditionals, that kills performance in shaders. So sometimes you need to profile and see, am I better off with one super shader with a bunch of conditionals, or am I better off having dedicated shaders to basically not have conditionals? So for example, right, this shader, let's look here, right? So this, I have this material, right, which specifies a bunch of stuff, right? These are parameters so the material has all these parameters, right? I can tweak things, right? And at the moment, I don't even need to have a different shader for this. It's just one shader, and then you pass parameters to the shader, right? That's how I'm doing these things, right? And then if I open like this one, right? This is a completely different material, right? It's the same shader. I just have different parameters for this stuff here, right? But it's the same shader. And the cat is back. Yes, so again, everything I'm saying, man, you can learn from it, but don't assume it's the best thing to do, right? Because I'm just learning on the go. But the way I have this organized is material. It's a collection of things. It's what shader to use, settings, right? Like textures that feed. So basically, it's at the moment what I have is like a material is basically what shader with what parameters, kind of. And then when I render a mesh, I go like render with this material. So I render this mesh with this material, render this mesh with this material, and they can be the same shader with different parameters. But the thing is, lots of engines, that's not really how they do it. They just they put together a different shader. Yeah, I think that's what lots of engines do. You just have the different shaders. Because it does make things more flexible. For example, like I said, this here in Flux. I think that's what Flux is doing. Right, it's just putting together a different shader for every material. I think that's what it's doing, because if that wasn't the case, why would it have an option to see the source code? Right, if the source code is the same for every shader, there would be no need for this. I mean, if the source code was the same for every material, not every shader. If it was the same for every material, you wouldn't need to show me this, because it would be the same. So I assume that what Flux is doing is creating a bunch of shader variations. It does make things more flexible, and I think what it's doing with this thing here, you can think of this again, take with a pinch of salt. You can think of this as your engine requirements, right? So my engine, for the materials in my engine, have these things. That's my convention, right? A base color, some emissive texture, right? So these are kind of my conventions for the engine. And then what you can see is like this material, it's specifying, right? Okay, I have this texture that's going to feed into this thing, right? I have the base color. You can see like the base color is the albedo, right? You can see that what the shader is doing is like, it's the typical, I have a texture, I multiply it by the tint color and feed it into the requirement in the engine, which is how does the engine put together the base color for the shader, right? And that's why it's nice to have like an editing tool, because then you can just go, right, I'm gonna do some fancy math, and I just need to do some fancy math and then feed it into this, the requirement for my engine. It does make it flexible, because this means that in my engine at the moment I'm just using parameters to the shaders, but that means that I can't parameters can't be logic by themselves, right? With this editing tool, I can basically go, all right, what feeds into this? It's some logic, which is all this stuff here. This stuff here. Yeah, I I haven't done any. So once I put animations in, shadows in, obviously it will complicate things. I need to come up with a better architecture for the shaders probably. See what I mean? Because then, let's say, now I want a mesh that has animation, needs to use PBR. See what I mean? So now I need to have a shader that supports all that stuff. And then we end up with all the combinations. So I kind of can do that with, let's say, what I can do is, again, I have some infrastructure for that. I'm sure there will be things I need to change. But if I open a shader, what you see my shader is, so my shader asset, you can see it's like what files, right? And then I can, it shows here what is available in the shader. What files, and then I can add, why, is it crashing? I think it might have crashed. No? Why isn't this working? Yeah, I think it froze. I haven't touched this in a while. Yeah, probably broke something here. But basically what I can do with the shader is I can create a shader in my editor that goes, right, use these shader files, and then I define a bunch of tweaks with the preprocessor macros for the shader. And that's a shader variation. I just kind of don't have a fancy editor tool for that. I just say this shader with these defines. And then I can just name it, you know, PBR plus animation, whatever. God damn it. I need to see what I broke there. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what I'll need. There's a bunch of stuff there that's still unknown to me. How I'm gonna deal with it, like shadows. I haven't done light maps yet. I know what it is, but I haven't touched that yet. Basically, you just pre-compute textures to use, like fake shadows. Forward deferred rendering. I don't think that's a thing. You're mixing both. I never heard of forward deferred. It's either one or the other, unless you mean hybrid. Yeah, so your option 2, it's what I'm doing, right? So again, I don't know what performance will look like. At the moment, I have 4 lights, maximum of 4 lights in the shader. I can just tweak that, like just to define, I can just tweak it to 8, right? I don't know what performance will look like, but I have it at 4 at the moment. And obviously, your scene can have more than 4 lights, right? But your game logic has to decide, okay, I'm gonna render this mesh. I haven't done that yet, but that's what I need to do. All right, my scene has 1,000 lights, right? I want to render this mesh, and I can only use 4. So you're gonna say, okay, render this mesh with this material, and the closest or the most, like basically your game logic needs, your engine logic needs to pick the 4 lights that affect the mesh the most. So you know what I mean? If you have lights far away, they don't affect the mesh. So you have to have some algorithm to basically pick what lights you're gonna be using for that mesh. That's the way I see it. So you can still have an infinite number of lights, right? You need to pick which ones you're gonna use for the shader. Maybe there are other techniques, but that's what I think you need to do. Again, I'm not an expert, right? So that's what I'm thinking. There might be, for example, merging. Yeah, there might even be opportunities that if you have the CPU budget for that, you can even merge the lights. Like if you have 2 lights close together with different colors, different intensities, you can probably apply some mathematical formula to just merge those into 1 light only. Right? If they have like same position, same direction basically. If they are affecting the mesh from the same direction, you can probably just merge them into 1. And I just don't know what form I would use there to merge the colors and the intensities and. Yeah, but there is a bunch of stuff to solve there that I haven't done that yet. For example, if you're talking about an indoors scene, right? You need to solve a lot of problems like this light, it's close to this object, but it's blocked by some door, right? So it's not affecting that mesh. So we'll see. I'll have a bunch of problems to solve there. Yeah, so that thing with the shader. So if you go look at what I'm doing, right? Shader. Shader. Construct. What the hell is that? Parse shader. Okay, so see this thing here, parse shader. So basically what I'm saying is it's a utility function I have where I pass the source code for the shader, which is two files. You can have like compute shaders, whatever, but I'm only using fragment and vertex for now. So you pass the vertex and the fragment shaders, the source code, a bunch of defines, right? And this function is going to parse these files, process any includes, right? Because there are, at least with OpenGL, there are some, you don't have, like, for example, you can't, when you compile a shader within OpenGL, it actually doesn't process the includes. You need to do it. It processes macros, like you can have, like, if something do this, so you can have macros, but it doesn't support includes as far as I know. So my function is doing that for me. And this is how I can put together variations for a shader. And let's say I have shader, right? And I can have, let's say if like I said before, if you think about the shader as a program, you just need libraries you need reusable libraries, right, for the functionality. So the libraries, you can do that as a header, right? I can have this header, which has this is used. I have a big if here because I can this file can be included by both the engine code and the shader, because they need to agree on some stuff like uniform locations. But this is the shader, right? This is for the shader, and basically you can just put here a bunch of utility functions, right, with a bunch of preprocessor macros to tweak behavior if you need, and then you just pass those defines to this function, and bada bing bada boom, I have a shader variation. You're having a discussion with a chatbot, what to do with the lights. We'll see how it goes. I think I might be okay with a forward renderer, and then just pick n lights for the shader. What lights should affect that shader? But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Another thing is, if you look at Flax, I don't think they even have like a shader asset. Right? They don't have an asset of type shader. They have material. Right? The shader is kind of like a byproduct of the material. That's not how my engine works at the moment. So I actually have a shader asset, which is basically composed. I guess it's because I don't have this fancy thing, right? So instead of having this, I have an actual shader asset type, and then what it defines is what shaders to use, what source files to use for the shader with what defines, and then the material, instead of having this logic, right? You can think of this logic here as if this was my engine, right? Instead of having this would be a link to what shader to use, and then these are the parameters. But we'll see how it goes. I might have to change all this stuff. We'll see. Do a ban. A few days ago I was looking into Vulkan, and I was for a day I was like, man, I'm just gonna go bite the bullet and just port this bullshit to Vulkan, be done with it. but I resisted. After a few hours, I resisted because I know where it leads. It's like it's all the same thing. It's like I'm having a problem with something, and then I'm already planning ahead, and then I just go, oh, fuck it. I will need this anyway. Let's just do it. And instead of just cutting down on what I need to get the game done, I'm always the next thing, the next thing. It's never ending. So this one I resisted for now. So I resisted for now. So OpenGL, we'll see. Because one of the problems I was having, I was planning ahead. So basically, I'm not sure. I think I'm not sure if it was with you. So a few days ago, I was looking into changing. I always had in the back of my head that I will need to port this to Vulkan eventually. Right? So I was kind of planning ahead, like what can I do now? The conventions, what conventions my engine should have, like for UVs, right? Top left, bottom left, what should it be to make it easy to port for Vulkan later. So a few days ago I was looking into that, and I decided, okay, I need to change the conventions for my UVs. So it used to be bottom left, now it's top left. So it's going to be easier for Vulkan. While still using OpenGL, right? And that just broke a bunch of stuff, and then I was having a hard time figuring out what was wrong, and then for like half a day I was just looking into Vulkan, like, and I was very tempted just to ditch OpenGL and just to go directly to Vulkan. Is Ben coming? Where is he? But I resisted the urge. Yeah, but the thing is, if you do DirectX and then you're stuck with Windows, actually nowadays you can just use Proton and it will run just fine. But I think Vulkan is a better choice. It's just although the modern DirectX 11, 12, Vulkan doesn't make much difference. They all have kind of the same concepts. Even Vulkan. So if you look at differences between OpenGL and Vulkan, the difference that I've noticed is mostly around that Vulkan went, okay, let's ditch this legacy thing from OpenGL and let's do it the modern way. Not modern way. Let's agree with that with what DirectX does, right? So as basically we have an agreed convention for something like UVs. So basically, OpenGL is still very different from DirectX with some conventions, and then Vulkan kind of made it a bit closer with DirectX 11 and 12, which is good. So I guess once you have Vulkan, I suppose it's not too hard to do DirectX, I guess. We have like all the barriers and all that stuff, but I guess it's probably similar. I'm just talking out of my ass. Right. Yeah, yep, I know. Yes, microslop. Microslop. I need to go check if what I'm gonna do for lunch for my kids. My kid, the older one, is away with my wife. Be right back. Right, looks like my friend already fed the kids. Right, fake Ben needs to get back to work. Now let's look at what Flux is doing with this. So this is a prefab, I think, is it? Yes. Actually, I actually think that Flux has a few bugs here. So some meshes are not showing up here. If I import this as a single model, it works fine. But if I import it as a prefab, which like keeps the individual meshes, a bunch of them are missing. Let's see, why is this one missing? I'm just basically studying what Flux does, get some ideas. Let's see what it does with animated meshes. Animated cube. God damn it. Where is that? This. Models. And okay, looks like okay, this one is animated. So if I animation, what's the difference? What's the difference between this, the skin model asset, and this? I don't know. Let me see, skin, the model, and animation. Hmm. I don't think it did anything. Did it? It did. Alright. I can't move the camera. What the heck? Alright. Oh, what the heck is this? Alright, how do I animate this? Do I need to import separately? So if I move this here, now animation. Alright. Can I animation? How do I play this? How do I preview? What have I done here? What have I done here? I just disappeared. Oh, default scene, that was probably it. No? Yes, it was. Right, how can I preview this thing? Then we have skeleton. Videos. They have no idea what to do with this. How can I preview the animation? Right, music finished. I mean, I'm listening to music, but I'm not streaming it. I think this is just the animation data, right? There is nothing. Oh, there's a preview here. All right. Ah, there we go. Okay, so I think this is just so skin model. Wait, come on. How can I? There we go. So asset types. of type animation. It's just the animation data, and then I can basically preview with a specific skin model. Which is basically, a skin model is basically a mesh with the skeleton information. I'm not copying any source code from Flux, it's just ideas. Because some of this stuff, it's new to me, as in I know they exist, but I never had to make an engine this complex. Right, the engine I did years ago, OpenGL that was like over 10 years ago. I was still using fixed pipeline. I had some animations, but it was an older format that the animation is pretty much baked in. You just have, it's more like it's a 3D. You have a mesh with animation, right? But you don't have a skeletal thing. It's like you just have like the different poses, right? And then you interpolate between them. Like there's no skeleton, so it's kind of baked in. And it was very, very simple compared to this. So sometimes it's like I have no idea how I should architecture something because I never did it before. I'm just looking for ideas. It just helps me to understand what other engines do to put something together in my mind, like connect the dots, basically. What's what? Like, for example, this simple thing, which is you look at this, right? And this is obviously a model with animation, right? But when you put this into an engine, it makes sense to split. Like I have the data for the animation, and then I can apply that animation to different models. Like imagine I have different animals, right? You just need to agree on the skeleton, and then you can use that animation for different animals. But obviously, it's those kind of things that sometimes I don't think about until I check what other engines do. And I just figured it out because of this thing here. Like I was checking, what this seems just a data, so how can I animate something? You just basically say, right, I have this animation data and I want to apply it to some model, which is the fox. I don't know what this one is. Base preview. What's this one here? Settings. Flux is nice. Like I said before, I tried Flux for a few weeks. I just dropped it because of the C#, the sharp stuff. The like UI you can only do in C#, and I wanted to use just one language, C++. Let me think. Right. How do I do I? Is it like this? Not sure. Let me copy this code. There we go. I can have made the diagrams in Markdown, Visual Studio. All right, so God damn it. Can I keep tabs? I prefer tabs. Yeah, that's fine. I might use the same naming conventions as Flux. So mesh will probably be just a single thing, right? That's kind of what I have already in the engine. But then I need the higher level things, which is a group of meshes. It can be like, I think the Flux calls it the model. So if I go here and do, let's say, prefab. So this is a prefab, which keeps the scene. And it even allows you to put like game logic. Kind of like a higher level thing that you can put into a scene, and you can have logic, game logic and everything. So alright, so and then we have, let's just import that. If we go, what is it? So if we import this guy here and we create a model, oof. Burp. Tiny burp. It was a tiny burp. I think I see Dopefish lurking on my stream. Yo, Dope man, you there? I see your name. The perv. Dope. Alright, so now we have a model. Where's the model? It's here. So this... What I was doing in my engine was I was trying to merge all this into a mesh, and that's the wrong thing to do because you can't. Because a mesh can only have like one material, right? So you need to have a higher level concept, which Flux calls it a model, which basically have something complex to render, which can have different materials, and that's basically a model. Well, different materials, different meshes, but it's still like a static thing. So that's a model. But then if we go here, you can still see the meshes. You can't change. I mean, you can swap the materials for every mesh. So if I go, let's say, what mesh 0 doesn't even say what mesh 0 is. Material slot, it's on top right. So material slot, material slot. So I can probably go right. So the board is one mesh. So I can go, okay, that mesh uses bada bing. Oops, messed up. Oh, another thing I need to do that my asset library doesn't do is, at the moment, when I'm editing an asset, it's a bit of a bummer. Right, if I go here and I start tweaking with this stuff, right? This is if I do this, right, it's already changing and saving this. So there is no save button, which I don't think is a good idea. It needs to be like Flux and most engines, that this is temporary until you save. It was just easy to me back then to just change actually do the save straight away. But that will have to change. Lots of work. Yeah, what I had worked fine for the simple things, but I was kind of somewhat expecting it. And it still works fine for a small game, but as things grow, I see it's not enough. I already had some of that stuff done for other things. So for example, I have a concept of game settings. So if we go here, right, and you can have settings. At the moment, I don't think I'm making use of any settings, but you can have like new settings, and I have input settings, game settings. So if you go here, game settings, the only thing it does at the moment is what fonts to use, like presets. I don't think I've been making use of this yet. And then you can basically go, right, my game is gonna use this font like by default. Then you can just go here and pick the font. And this input settings, which doesn't have anything yet. Just I have the link, but doesn't have anything. And this already has a save button. So anything I do here, it's not committed until I save. Excuse me. It's never enough. That's true. But look, I have balls, man. I have balls. Great balls of fire. Looks shiny. See, once you have like PBR shaders work, oh, looks like a problem there. It's shiny. It was nice to, this is simple, like, but it was nice to get to this point and have PBR working, and you just import some textures and it looks very similar to what I see online. So that was good. The small things, the small victories. Speaking of small victories, I need to import that texture with a baby. So success, baby. Success, baby. Yeah. Another thing it took me ages to figure out. Man, it's like I'm always learning. Always in learning mode. Was my normals were messed up. So if I go here and you go materials. Right. Let's stop with the rotation. Alright. So I have this material. Normals are working, right? But let's change the light direction so you see what I mean. So if I change the light direction, you can see that the light is probably above. Right. Where is it? God damn it. God damn it, boy! Where is the light? Oh, because, what is it? Draw. 1000. Where did I put the light? Light's missing. Where's the light? There it is. So light is coming from there. Alright. So if it's coming from there, you can see the normals are working fine, right? The shadow on this side. And for the like wigs, my normals would have flipped. And that was a pain to figure out. I was basically doing stuff based on Learn OpenGL, and use like a slightly different convention. So it's OpenGL, right? But then it uses a convention for the normals that most of the time it's use it with DirectX, which is the other way around. And then I was just obviously because I was just getting materials from some online website, and then the texture pack. The texture pack would have two textures like for normal maps for OpenGL, normal maps for DirectX, and then I was like, okay, I'm using OpenGL. But it was just flipping the damn thing. But you know, you learn these things. So eventually, what I do now is like I have this here, so it's using this normal map. So now using the real thing, so it's using the OpenGL version. I can I can get the other version, or I can just do this flip green. And then it flips the thing. Now it's flipped, which is wrong. So this is what I had for ages. So you can see that the shadow here is on the shadows are here. But the light is also coming from this side, which means the normals are wrong. The shadows are wrong. Man, but it took me ages to figure out these things. I can just flip this again. Flippity flippers. You just need to flip the green component, that's it. And he lurks in the shadows, like Batman. I live in the shadows. Forgot him! I like Batman. I'm Batman. My oldest kid does a good impersonation. I live in the shadows. I played the first one. Was it Arkham Asylum? Like 2008, 9? I played a bit of that first one. A few weeks ago, I was rewatching all of them. Batman Begins, the trilogy. Yeah, I remember I never finished the game, but I played maybe for 1 or 2 hours. But it was good. The fighting was good. The kick-ass fighting was good. Shit, is there... Let me check if today is the day to pick up bins. As I forgot to put the garden bins outside. I don't think it was. And let's call that. It's fine. Yeah. Hey, did you finish that game? Right. So again, I'm gonna probably follow the same naming conventions as Flux. We have Z model. Z model. A model is a collection of meshes, basically. Puts everything together for meshes and materials. Now the question is, what's up, Mr. Puddin? Jeez, it's all dirty.
Mary,
Yes?
he's playing,
Yes?
he's playing a game and he's not trying to,
Loud is fine, he can play. Yeah, he can play, it's fine.
you asking me to?
It's fine, he can play, Natalie, it's fine. He's on all of this.
What are you doing?
I am scrubbing His Highness Pudding, the king. I'm scrubbing the king.
Can I scrub this?
Well, if he lets you.
Why do you need
Need to be gentle,
why do you
because
need to scrub it?
because he has lots of fur that's coming out.
Does he like that?
He does if you do it here
Why is
on the
there a
back.
box there?
That's the work I'm doing.
Oh. How do you do that?
Hmm?
How do you do it?
I didn't do the fox. I'm just looking at it to learn something.
Where's the music on?
It's from here. Come on, Pudding.
Do you like the scrubbing?
No, he does. Yeah, it's fine. Just the way he's sitting, I can't work.
Why?
Because it's sitting on my hand and I can't use the mouse.
He's not wearing me block.
I need to come to that side then. It's fine.
I'm speaking to other people.
I am.
Who are you speaking to?
I'll be gentle there because he's gonna bite you if you push too hard there. He will give you a little nip.
How will you do it? How will you nip me?
He will be go like, "Oh, I don't like that." It just warns you. It doesn't hurt you. It goes like, nope, stop it.
You are-
I thought he was about to bite you.
Why did it go to a duck?
That's what I'm working on. I'm looking at these to learn some things. It's fine. Right.
Is he the king?
Yeah, it certainly behaves like it.
Why do you like to brush him?
You don't have to. I just do it once in a while, so it's not just dropping the fur everywhere. Still does it. Right, so we have. Good enough. It's already moaning. Meow.
Did you say it?
Yeah, he was like meow.
Did you just say that with him?
No, he meowed. Didn't you hear it? He was like meow.
What? I don't understand you.
Same as me. I can do it too. And then you can do.
What? Why? Can I sit beside him, maybe?
What?
Can I sit beside him?
You can. Well, I mean, not on the desk.
I can.
Because you're too heavy for that.
No.
Yes, you are. People can't sit on the desk. The desks are not made for that. Especially this one. Alright, so what we have here? Chessboard. We have.
Why does he like being brushed? How does he get these little balls in his hair?
It's some plants in the garden on the stick. Alright.
So I can brush the tail.
I guess if he's not complaining,
What's him complaining?
he will just turn around and try to bite you gently.
Nice and flat.
Yeah.
Making it nice and flat for him.
Yeah. So what we have here?
Does he like it? Does he like his tail nice and flat?
I don't know. So you just have fur here.
Is his bum under the tail? Where?
Yes, somewhere under the tail.
Oh.
Right, let's see.
Could they have done the roly poly? Could they have done the roly poly?
When he's fighting other cats, he does. So materials.
No.
They maybe have enough.
I might just try and down here. No, don't bite me. I don't. Hello. Don't. What's he going to do? What's he going to do?
Nothing, you just change places. Right, and then let's look at this. And model.
I want them to try and do roly poly now. I want to see him do roly poly.
I don't think he's gonna do it on demand. If you ask him, I don't think pudding, do a roly poly. I don't think he will do that. Nah, I don't think he'll have any luck with it. Let's see.
When he fights to the... Oh. Is this some dead fur?
What?
Is here some dead fur?
Yeah, fur.
Dead.
Yeah, grey. No, just grey, just different color. He always had that since I was a kid.
Oh. Why does he have that?
Don't know. There's the skeletons.
Do you like to watch me? Look what I can do.
Good jump.
Oh my god. Why is that car truck?
Don't know. Let's take a look. Can you have what?
When the boys were little, did they like colouring sheets?
Yes, they like coloring. We don't have coloring sheets, it's just paper and then they draw and they color. What's this? I don't have coloring sheets. What do you mean coloring sheets? The ones like with drawings for you to color?
Yeah.
I don't have that.
So let's make one.
I'm working, Natalie. You are on all this, but I'm not on all of this. I need a wee-wee. I'll be right back.
Let's see if he does. How does he get back in again?
He just goes, comes to the kitchen, cat flap. There's a cat flap.
Well,
Dragon, wait, careful.
how did you do that?
It was you.
It wasn't me, it was you.
Do what? The desk? No, there's a button there. The desk was you. You touched the button.
Which one?
But you shouldn't be touching that because then it can hit other things.
Down.
Yes. Yes. Just leave it. Don't touch anymore. It's fine.
Can I have it lower, please?
What?
Can I have it lower?
Lower. Not sure if it goes any lower, but what I said is doesn't go anymore. That's it.
No, I have my own desk.
Yeah.
Lots of playground. I thought we could go get
Let's
some air.
see, dragon.
Yeah,
Playground.
I'm working on it.
Did Donny want to go to playground maybe?
What was Danny like?
What are you planning on going?
Don't know.
It's
You
playing.
might
It's fine.
go
I'll
playground.
I already know.
But I don't know.